Why women should start lifting weights. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
No, I can't be broken. No, I can't be bought. Gates of hell are open. Go on, take the shot. I am invincible.
So let's be obvious up front, right? This is a basketball channel. Women don't watch this channel, but I am a retired basketball player. I don't play ball anymore. I'm not active in competition anymore. So at the beginning of the year, January, February, like it is right now, I like to talk about general fitness topics because this is Michigan. It's the off season in terms of basketball, and nowadays I'm much more of a fitness guy than I am an actual active playing basketball player. So today I wanted to talk about a video on a topic that's probably not going to get much traction on this page, but that's okay. I want to make it just so it's out there. Like if you're a basketball player and you know a woman that maybe she'd like to start weight training or she'd like to get into it, or you think it would just help someone in your life, then send this video to them and let's try to help them out. So today we're going to talk about why women don't lift weights, why they should, what the benefits are, and how it can help them, benefit them, use it to their advantage, and be a better physical person. So let's start off with some misconceptions about why women in general don't usually lift weights. The first thing is because in general, weightlifting is looked at as being masculine. When it comes to like personal fitness, your health, you need to take your ego out of it. Don't get lost in the idea of like, I don't want to do that because that doesn't apply to me for whatever reason. Whether it's cardio, whether it's lifting weights, aerobics, yoga, Pilates, whatever it is it good for you? Will it help you to be healthier? The answer is yes, it applies to everyone. It will help everyone. So don't be narrow-minded and think that I shouldn't or I can't do a certain thing because I don't fit into a certain category. The other big misconception about lifting weights to women is women usually avoid lifting weights because they're afraid it's going to make them big and bulky, have big bulky muscles like a man. Now we need to clear this up because the fact of the matter is that when you're talking about building actual muscle, like building actual muscle tissue and it getting larger because of the work you're putting in, that is the hardest thing to do when it comes to fitness. There is nothing more difficult than actually building muscle mass. And that applies to the average man who has average levels of testosterone. The more testosterone you have, the better and easier it is for you to be able to build muscle. So for you as the average woman with your low testosterone levels, especially in comparison to the average man, you do not need to be afraid that you're going to build big, bulky muscles. It is very, very difficult for the average male to do that. It's going to be that much more difficult for the average woman. Now, I'm sure there are some of you out there women who are saying, you don't understand, Tony. In the past, I've tried lifting weights, and when I did that, I did see my muscles getting bigger. I didn't like that. I didn't want them to get any bigger than that, so I stopped. The misconception with this is that you're actually building muscle. You're seeing muscle being built when you're seeing that gain in muscle size. You're not actually building muscle when that happened. You need to understand there's a difference between building muscle mass and your muscles just being conditioned in general. Before you started lifting weights, when you never lifted a weight before in your life, right, your muscles were just regular, average, at rest. That's how they looked when they were not being used properly or at all. But once you started lifting weights, your muscles did what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to adapt to that stimulus. You're conditioning your muscles to the idea that they're going to be used and stressed over and over again on a regular basis. And one of the wonders of the human body is that your body will adapt to whatever conditions you put it in. So when you start lifting weights, your muscles are going to start to condition themselves. They do that by starting to retain a little bit more fluid, a little bit more blood than normal. It's not that they have grown in muscle mass, in size. You haven't built any actual real muscle tissue yet, but you've just conditioned them to be ready to do whatever weightlifting work that you've been putting them through. So now they're going to retain a little bit more fluid, a little bit more blood, so that when the next time you go to lift weights, you will be readier faster, and your body will respond to that exercise better, faster, more efficiently the next time you go to lift those weights. Your muscles are not going to get any bigger than that. Think of them as being pumped up, being a little bit more swollen than usual, because you went from doing nothing to lifting some weights, and now you're doing a little bit of something, and so now your body has to stay ready. That little bit of growth that you've seen, the little bit of mass that you've seen added onto your frame, where you're like, oh, I don't really like this because it's making me look bigger than, you got a little bit big like pretty quickly, that you weren't really expecting that to happen, and now you have this extra size that you're not used to, and it's kind of freaking you out. So what you need to know is, number one, that is not actual muscle tissue. It's just extra fluid and blood being kept by your muscle. Because that's the case, it's not going to continue to grow, especially at that rate, because it's not actual muscle, it's just extra fluid. And then as you continue to lift weights, as you continue to exercise, and your muscles get even more conditioned, right, that swelling is that's gonna come down a little bit, right, and your muscle is gonna start to shape out. You're actually going to add shape to your muscle, and that the little bit of fluid that was there that made you look a little bit bigger than you were used to, that's going to dissipate. The shape of your muscle is going to start to be more prominent. So after a while, after you've put in a few weeks, months of working that same muscle, you're going to see that sort of bloating, that swollenness go down, and you're going to start to see more of a shape of your muscle. That does not mean your muscle is going to get big. You're just going to see the shape of it more than you've ever seen before. Don't be afraid about getting big and bulky. That's not going to happen. Now let's talk about why women should actually lift weights. And let's pick up where we left off. So when we talk about lifting weights, one of the biggest reasons why most people do it is for aesthetics, for trying to look a certain way. And for women, that usually means shape. They want to be shapely, they want to have curves, they want to have shape to their body. And really the best way to have shape on your body is to build and make your muscles stronger. Even if your muscles are covered by some layer of fat, the stronger the muscle is, the more you condition it, the more shape it's going to have. The more shape it's going to have under whatever layer of fat you may have over it, just making your body more shapely, more curvy in general. And if you're thinking that you have so much fat covering a certain muscle that it doesn't matter if you exercise, if you lift weights to exercise that muscle because it's covered with fat to the point where you're not going to notice it, you're wrong. Any size, any shape, any strength that you put into your muscle will be noticeable on your frame. It probably won't be as noticeable as you would like, because that's kind of a mindset thing. Like you're probably never going to look as good as you like, no matter what you do, right? No matter how much progress you make in the gym or anything like that. Like you're never going to get to the point where you put in the exact amount of work that you want to, that you think you should, and you're never going to get the exact kind of results that you want, especially as quickly as you want them. That's never going to happen. But just because you're not seeing the exact results that you want in the exact time frame that you want doesn't mean that it's not helping you even aesthetically. So even if you do have fat over a certain muscle, that doesn't mean you shouldn't work it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try to make it bigger, stronger, add shape to it. And then we have all of the more sort of obvious reasons, right? All the reasons that everybody already knows about why you would want to lift weights to put muscle on your body. Probably the most notorious one being like, okay, well, the more muscle you have on your body, the more fat, the more calories your body's just going to burn. And yes, while that is true, of course it is, it's not as dramatic as you think it is. So for example, right, for 1 pound of muscle that you put on your body, like actual muscle tissue, you only burn about 6 to 8 calories more per hour. So it's not as dramatic as you may think that it is. Does it help? Will it help? Can it help? Of course. But I will be upfront and honest when I say that I have heard that, muscle excuse used many times throughout my fitness life when women say, oh, it's so much easier for men to be in shape and to have a lower body fat because they have more muscle, and you have more muscle, you just burn fat so much more faster and easy and naturally. That's why, men have it so much easier. And yes, like I said, that's true to a degree, but again, it's only 6 to 8 calories per pound of muscle that you have. Getting down to what I really want to talk about is the fact that it just makes you stronger, right? That being super obvious in terms of why you would want to lift weights. But I'm not coming at it from a physical standpoint, because obviously physically you get stronger. But with women, y'all don't really care about like how strong you are, and that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly understandable. Like if you don't want to lift weights to be strong because you don't care about how strong you are, that's perfectly fine. The reason you should be lifting weights to get strong is not to be strong, it's to feel strong. What I mean is, like, it doesn't matter how much you can bench press or how many chin-ups you can do or anything like that. What matters is how do you feel? Because if you've never lifted weights before, there will be some mornings, like if you've never been much of a fitness person before in your life, and you decide that you want to start trying to lift weights to see what it's like, right? What you'll notice is, before lifting weights, when you wake up in the morning, sometimes you feel good, sometimes probably the majority of time you feel sort of, average, right? You don't really feel good or bad, you're just like blah, right? When you wake up first thing in the morning. But then there are some days when you wake up and you feel strong and you feel energized. You don't really know why. You just happen to wake up and you got a good night's sleep and you wake up feeling sort of recharged and refreshed that morning. Well, when you lift weights and you now have your body conditioned to be strong, right, to feel strong, you wake up more often feeling that way. You wake up just sort of like you'll wake up first thing in the morning and you'll stretch, right? And when you stretch, you'll feel your body, squeezing those muscles, flexing those muscles, and you'll just feel strong. Like immediately, the first thing that you notice, and the first thing when you wake up, is you'll stretch and you'll feel strong, and you'll immediately think to yourself, that feels good. Like, this is like, I've never felt like this before. Like, I can feel my muscles working, like in a way that I've never noticed before, because your muscles have never been conditioned the way they are now before. And that will just feel good. You'll wake up feeling strong, and you'll do that on a much more consistent basis than you ever have before. And the more consistently you just feel strong when you wake up, and as you go through the day, the better just mood you will be in. But if you've never lifted weights before, if you've never been in any kind of physical condition before, you wouldn't know that. Maybe before you started working out, all you did was do the stereotypical, drink coffee. Like, if I drink enough coffee, that'll give me enough energy and then I'll feel good throughout the day. But once you start lifting weights and you start making your muscles, your body feel ready for the day, ready for whatever physical activity it's going to encounter during that day, you will wake up feeling fresh, refreshed, feeling strong, and you'll want to get out of bed. You'll want to get your day started. You'll be excited for that day because you'll just feel strong when you wake up in the morning. So it's not directly about, are you strong? It's not about how much weight can you move or anything like that. It's about, how do you feel? To me, that's the biggest reason why, especially women who usually avoid lifting weights, should start lifting weights, because of how it's going to sort of improve your quality of everyday life. Feeling strong is not just a masculine thing. It should not just be sort of, a secret that sort of men keep to themselves, because that's one of the reasons, we can just get up and go to work every day and sort of power through every day. Those of us who do put in the work to have, muscle conditioning, It's much easier for us to do difficult things, to have sort of discipline, because when you feel strong on a daily basis, then it just makes everything easier. That's something that I've not heard men talk about, or especially when they kind of like try to relate it to women and say, hey, here's something about fitness, about lifting weights that you may enjoy, that may actually be effective as to why you should start, right? It's just the fact of like feeling strong and feeling like you can get through whatever the day throws at you because you wake up feeling strong, because you've conditioned your body to be so. That's why women should lift weights, right? It's not something that should just be reserved for masculinity. Cardio and yoga and all that should not just be thought of as feminine and only be done by women. Like, everybody should do everything to be well-rounded. And from an athletic kind of competition standpoint, and let's face it, you know, in some ways, women are more competitive than men. When you talk about lifting weights, women that lift weights can undeniably say they have an advantage over women that don't lift weights, because they're doing something that is undeniably positive, that makes them stronger than the woman next to them. And then they can say they do something difficult that they don't have to do, but they choose to do it, and it gives you an undeniable advantage over someone who is not as strong as you, because they don't put in the work that you do. As a basketball player, that was one of my favorite things to try to figure out on the basketball court, which was, okay, what are the things out here that the other players are not doing? Like, it's too difficult for them to do, or it's too boring for them to do. You know, what are they not doing that I can be doing that's going to give me an advantage over them? That's kind of the way I look at women lifting weights. Most women don't, so the women that do have an undeniable advantage over the weaker women, who are weaker only because they don't lift weights. And so we talked about why women should lift weights, but I didn't get into like how to get started. Basically, right, the most important thing for beginners beginning anything is figure out how to make it enjoyable for you. Figure out the weightlifting exercises that are enjoyable for you to do. That's your number one priority. What do you enjoy? The hardest part about beginning anything is the experimental stage, where you're experimenting with all this stuff to figure out what you enjoy doing the most, so that you will continue to do it repetitively and consistently, so that you can make progress over time. Don't worry about all the particulars about how much weight should I lift, how many reps and sets should I do. Don't worry about all that particular specific stuff yet. You will figure that out on your own, because once you find exercises that you actually enjoy, you will want to figure that out, thus you will. First and foremost, just find stuff that you enjoy doing, figure out how to do it safely so that you're not causing any kind of injury, and then eventually start building consistency. That's a brief overview of how to get started lifting weights. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, if you think it's going to help some woman, female in your life to start lifting weights that never has before, or if it's going to help motivate them, give them information to at least try to help them get started, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you're a female, or you know a female who has started lifting weights, then let me know down in the comments how and why. How did they do that? Why did they start doing that? Let us know what kind of progress other women can expect to start making when they start lifting weights. But before you comment, make sure you hit that thanks button down below, because when you hit that thanks button, any comment that you make is going to be highlighted. Not only that, but hitting that thanks button also directly supports the channel. So for anyone that does hit that thanks button, know I genuinely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment like I said. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any video goes live on this channel. And until then, see you guys next week.
I never fall down, I put my all down. I heard all the people that doubted me throwing the stones from a glass house. I can be so proud, cause I never sold out. And now I'm on top of the world because I believed in that no doubt.